Hello everyone, this is Ian Cold. So today I'm just going to talk about my journey with YouTube and this project. So I started a YouTube channel for this project pretty late in the development. I'd already been working on the game for a few months, and I also had it up on itch.io. I had some dev updates there, but it wasn't really getting too much traction. It was getting consistent views, but nothing incredible and not that many downloads. So I was thinking, what other ways could I use to spread word about my project and communicate what I'm doing? And YouTube came to mind. Initially, I was a little hesitant about setting up a YouTube channel because I thought maybe I'll be getting hate comments or people aren't going to really like it for the content of the game, or maybe because, there are other game developers out there with more polished games or, more advanced features, things like that. I felt like what I'm working on is a little bit amateurish, but that's not what I've experienced at all. I've gotten a lot of great feedback. I've gotten a lot of likes on some of my videos. I haven't had a dislike on any of my videos yet, so that's great. I've also had a lot of comments, a lot of positive comments, really engaging with the videos. Some have even led to kind of fixes or tweaks with the game that have made them better, things like that. So I've really been pleasantly surprised by starting a channel for this game. And if I had known I was going to get, this positive reception, people engaged with this project, people seeing what I'm doing and liking it and, giving positive feedback that's also helped me grow and the game grow, I definitely would have started it much earlier in the project's life cycle. So that's been a big thing is, I'm also trying to put out more updates every so often, just to give people better understanding of the project, better communicate what's going on and, how the project's going. And part of that is my continual improvement with YouTube. So my first video didn't have an intro, didn't have an outro. It also didn't have any voice. So it was just me recording some gameplay, no explanation, things like that. And I've been reflecting on my videos as I put them out. So the first thing I added was making them a bit more conversational. So, actually talking in the videos is a good start. But then also kind of adding a bit more talk. Not just making the changes I've made a list of bullet points and speaking them out with footage, but also adding a little bit more details, what I'm thinking about it, or things that happen, how it affected the project, things like that. And I think that kind of gives the project a little bit more life. It adds a little bit more personality to the project and me. And other things I've added as time has gone on, I've added an intro, as you've probably seen. It's simple, but, it gets the job done, and it just opens things up. It's a nice little short jingle just to get you focused on the video. I've also added the outro. Sometimes I've had different songs from when I was making the music for the music store. I've also added cards from time to time, so those little notifications that come up when you're watching the video and they link to other videos. I've done that from time to time when it applies. And more recently I've tried to make titles more interesting, so not just OY devlog 15, OY devlog 16, OY devlog 18. Now I'm adding a bit more description, so one of my last ones, over Yandere devlog 10 or whatever it was, improvements and near fatal crashes, something like that. Giving a little bit more detail about what I've been working on and maybe a little something that, is a little bit more interesting than just, oh, this is a devlog. That's it. So I've also been doing that, and I'm always trying to think of new ways I can change up these videos and make things a bit more interesting. These conversational updates are a part of it, give you some more background to the project for anyone interested in talking about things that wouldn't go in, just a development update. I've also been working on my process for recording these videos, so I've changed my OBS settings, so I've changed the rendering mode because there was an issue with Clipchamp, which is the video editor built into Windows 11. It's not the best in the world, but it's free, it's simple, and it gets the job done. So that's what I've been using since I'm fairly new to content creation, YouTube, and social media in general. The issue I was having with my previous rendering method was sometimes the beginning of a video would be green, like it would just show a bright green screen. I really don't understand why, but it just did that. From what I was reading, it sounds like it's something with the encoding, so I've changed that now, and I don't have that issue anymore, so little tweaks like that. There was also some jittering or lagging in the footage that I think I've mitigated, if not solved, so changing little things like that. Another thing is I used to try and do all of these videos one shot, audio and video. That took quite a few takes sometimes. So now I've been trying something different. I try to keep the footage and the audio separate, so that way I can edit one at a time, and I don't have to do just one take for everything. And that saves me a lot of time usually. So those are some of the changes I've made, and I'm always looking for new and different ways to try and do what I'm doing, YouTube, to see if I can, get a bit more engagement, communicate a bit better about this project. Another thing I'd like to talk about is what it's like starting a YouTube channel from scratch, which I did a few months ago. So my first few videos didn't get many views, very much under 20 views. And that might have been because of one thing or another. When I started, I didn't have intros or outros. I didn't speak. That might be part of it. But another thing I've read is that sometimes YouTube adds your video into people's suggested videos. So those videos that appear along the side or on your video once it's complete, it adds your video to that, and through that process it can send your video or show your video to thousands of people. Some of my videos have 6,000, 7,000 or more impressions, so they were shown to that many people. Now that is a good thing because it gets your content out to a lot of people, but the downside is it's very, very random. Some people were being directed to my videos from Fortnite videos or Roblox mod videos, and those aren't necessarily super related to this project. So a lot of those people maybe watched 10 seconds, 5 seconds, and then clicked off. I don't entirely blame them, but it's kind of a mixed bag. But that's how some of my videos got 60, 70 views, things like that. But lately, it's kind of been different. I haven't been getting that. I haven't been added to the suggested videos. Again, it seems kind of random for who is and which video is and which aren't. But my last few videos have gotten about 20 or so views, and I'm still proud of that because these videos are going to maybe only 300, 400 people instead of 10,000. But they're still getting 26 or more views. So I would credit that to the audience I built. I know I have a few subscribers. I can see, there are people viewing these videos from channel pages, things like that. And, I just like to say thank you to those people. It really means a lot. And Also, I feel that my content has improved, again, adding the more interesting video descriptions, things like that. I feel like that is helping, but some of my latest videos haven't gotten that many views because of the suggested videos. It's not being added to that, but you know what? That's okay. I now have pretty good audience. My content is improving, and I'm going to keep improving it. And we'll see where we go. We'll see how many more awesome people I can reach, because, of all the impressions, I've only had a few people out of those, tens of thousands in total, actually become engaged. But those people that have engaged, have sent great messages, they're interested. And that's really all you need. You only need a few good people to show interest, to give those nice comments. And, that's really what I would say is the achievement of this YouTube channel. Building that small, strong base. So that's kind of been my experience with YouTube. It's definitely ongoing, and I'm definitely going to look to post more updates sometime soon. Another development update is coming this Friday, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, that's been my journey with YouTube so far. So if I were to do this project again, I would definitely start a YouTube channel for it much earlier on. My notions of YouTube and YouTube comment sections have really been turned on their head in a good way. And, I'm reaching people. I'm reaching good, engaged people. And my processes, from everything from recording to how I'm titling the videos, that's gotten better. And, I'd just like to thank everyone that has supported me with likes, comments, or even just views. There was someone who commented on one of my videos first. A little generic, but, it's still a form of engagement. That's still pretty cool. So, that's how my project has been going, how I've been experiencing YouTube as, starting a channel from essentially day one. And I hope you enjoyed. This has been Ian Cold. Thank you for watching.